on the bottom of page Sambazayin, Oitz Lamed Beis. There's something that I would like to add to what we learned till now in terms of like the moshel of Ruach Shel Moshe. That the spirit from Moshe should be interpreted, should result in the supply of meat, and on its own it's too remote and it's too high, and then by going into this keilim, that can be translated into meat. What is the meaning of that? What does meat have to do with Moshe Rabbeinu's spirit? At any level. So we've discussed as a moshel on our level the midah of chesed, the spirit of chesed, of doing kindness, and mercy for the needy and so forth. And then we said, what does mercy for the needy bring about? Mercy for the needy includes in it every kind of assistance that can be given to the needy. That spirit incorporates and includes everything that can possibly be of help to the needy. This is in the same vein as we said much earlier. We said that a home is not just four walls. A home is that which is the reality of a person's presence in the world. That includes and automatically results in every kind of amenity that a home can possibly supply. And we said that a table, a chair, a bed, these things can be used independently of the home. But in a true fashion, they belong in a home. When they're outside the home, this is just a kind of a subset or a reminder of something real. The reality of these things is only when they are in the home. The home is the spirit that provides all of these things. And this is how we can understand these mesholim that I said, that from Ruach, the oires and the slabashim in keilim, because the oires include everything, as we're going to say in a moment, everything that can possibly be beneficial on the keilim level. Except, of course, it has to be reduced to be able to relate to keilim. Just as in the case of the chesed, the feeling of kindness, the feeling of concern and kindness for the poor is a neshama, is a nefesh feeling, is a ruchnisige feeling. This does not automatically translate in giving him $1. Can't even think of it. And in order to think of that, you have to bring it down into a worldly context, into keilim. And then you can come up with a practical solution to his plight. Umnum, okay, Lamed Beis, Oiz Lamed Beis. Umnum, in truth, however, the fact that when the oiros are mislabish in keilim, nitvasu, then the oiros become tangible, so to speak, and grasped. They become contained b'bchinas mitzius, in a mitzius state, a mitzius aspect, rather than being oir, which is total beetle, emanation of the etzem. B'bchinas mitzius. There's a mitzius, and this mitzius can be translated in keilim, and mitzius can be translated in specific action, almost dissociated, almost independently of the etzem. The fact that when it's established in keilim, then the oiros transform into entities that have a mitzius, liyos, so that they would be b'bchinas oir ha'chochma v'kuli. That they acquire, the oil itself acquire a distinct presence. It's not just oil, but it is oil of chokhmah, oil of chesed, and so forth, which is a presence in an unworldly environment. So now, the mislabish in keilim, and then the oil has become oil ha-chokhmah. How is it that the oil, which is the epitome of spirituality, of ruach eliki, becomes a mitzias of chesed and chokhmah? So we say it is due to the fact that it's mislabish in keilim. However, we have to understand there's another caveat here. Ein zeh machmas ha-keilim levad. It is not due to the presence of the keilim alone, only. It is not the keli that actually affects the mitzius onto the oir. Implying that keilim by themselves could not have that effect, have that result.
Yeah, what? Keilim by themselves could not have the result of what?
Cannot have that kind of effect on the oil that it should become mitzias. Kiyim, or the only, rather, mipnei sheho'oir be'etzem yesh be'yesh sphirot. It is due to the fact that the oil in essence, it contains sphirot. It has content of sphirot. Oil is not totally devoid of content, although it is above being identified as such. But nonetheless, in essence, in the oil, there is sphirot. As we already discussed before, dim hayoisam, where despite the fact that the sphirot are b'bchinas blima, they are in a state of blima without a presence. They're completely contained within the oil, within the truth of the oil itself, not the sphira aspect. So even though the sphira aspect is present in the oil, but its presence is blima, is unidentifiable, intangible presence. So despite the fact, so it is blima, but it's there. Mekomokim still. As they ha-keilim, by the effect of the keilim, nasim bebchinas mitzius. They, the sphirot, become bebchinas mitzius in a mitzius state. In other words, were it not for the fact that there is a content in the oir, then the keilim could not have that effect on the oir and bring out mitzius in the oir. But because that in the oir itself there is also this element of sphirot, in essence. So then when it comes into keilim, then the sphirot are transformed into mitzias that actually fills and fits with the keilim. Again, I'd like to bring this into a mashal that is close to home to us, so we should understand what this is actually saying. Like we said before, a home is an essential truth for the human being. That essential truth for the human being is not due to the convenience or comfort and security that it offers. It simply is a representation of the reality of the human being. As the Gemara says, I've mentioned all the time, Odom she'ein le bayis. If it does not have a bayis, ein le Odom. It's not in the full sense of Odom. Not because it doesn't have convenience. He just lost his identification as a human being. This bias is of a supreme status. It is not a table, a chair, or bed. It is not a keilim. It's providing a truth presence for the person in the world. To distinguish the human being from the animal. The animal does not have a true presence in the world. It is there in survival. It eats whatever there is. A human being, the world is made for him. Like we distinguish all the time between an invited guest to a chasana and a wayfarer who just hops in and sends by the smorgasbord and fills his belly. Nobody minds it, but he doesn't have the truth of that presence. A human being does have a true presence in the world. And this is why, to finally identify that true presence, he has to have a home, a definitive place in the world that is his and cannot be contested. It's like a godly gift to him in the world. This home inherently contains all the sphirot, so to speak, all the qualities that serve the human being. But they contain there not as such, but rather as part of the impact of a home. The impact of a home is that anything that a human being, anything that serves the human being, that's what the home is about. Because it provides the full comfort, full accommodation, full welcome to the human being into the world. There is not a specific aspect there, a bedroom or a chair. Not, this just it's the total welcoming element of the world, of the human being into the world. As a result, contained therein, in a non-identifiable manner, lima, are all the amenities that are useful to a human being. That he can eventually, anytime, identify. Okay, I hope this is understood. Now I want to take it to the next step. Then finally, when the human being, when the home becomes developed, and you identify different sections in the home, the different rooms, and then furthermore you identify within the rooms different parts, furnishings, and so forth. When these things are identified, they're not being born at that time already being identified. The chair is not created because all of a sudden you don't have a place to sit, you're uncomfortable standing, so let's put the chair in. But because this is part of the rich presence of the human being in the world. And here is the most important point. As a result of the fact that these things are all contained inherently in the initial concept of a home, to which a human being can very well relate to. As a result of that, when this oir is mislabish in a keilim, such as a table and a chair, or anything else, this islapshus is total. He feels perfectly comfortable. It is not like, oh, I have to use a chair. I have a table. It's like something, again, intruding onto his natural state. It fits him with his natural state perfectly, on the keilim level, on a much lower level. But the spirit, the human spirit, is imbued in these various amenities, and it fits in there perfectly. This is what it means that the spheres are mislabesh in the keilim. And when mislabesh in the keilim, then the sphirot become like the keilim itself. And the reason that the sphirot can become like a keilim, this is, the oir can become like the keilim, is due to the fact that in this oir there is already the element of esesphiros. In other words, as we said before, a home is not just a home. Inherent in the home is that there is that the service of a table and a chair. which is first identified when you provide the keilim for it. But when you provide the keilim, there is something within that environment that fits into the keilim perfectly. And this is why it becomes transformed into a mitzias, a real mitzias. Oir hachesed and oir hachokma. Okay?
Rabbi?
Yeah.
The mashal of the home is very easy for us to relate to in the modern world. Where is but if you're living like in Abraham's time.
Please, let's not go. What's the point?
Okay, so where do you find the Indian of a bias? You know, if you're living in tents.
Shmuel, get off it, will you? Do you understand this? You're looking for contradiction. It's not necessary. It's not going to help you at all. You're going off completely. First of all, the question is totally invalid. From day one, people lived in homes, whether it's a tent or a cave. It's a place in the world that
Okay, fine. Okay, got it.
I'd like you to learn to focus on what we're learning, not to look for questions from Beidim. Okay. So the Rebbe is explaining that there's a dual cause for the oiros to becoming mepchinas mitzius. One obvious one is that they're fit into keilim. But a more subtle one, and perhaps even more effective, is the fact that there is an in oil also inherent in the oil there is a definition. Again, to translate this in our terms, a human being has an neshama, a living neshama. This neshama is manifest through his seichel, chochma bina v'daas. That he recognizes a truth in the world, not just that which affects him, but the truth in the world. There's a neshama. He relates to life rather than to mitzias. This life is a super presence. It's not a worldly presence. It's a godly presence. And then afterwards, this godly presence becomes effective in how a person acts in the world. Chesed and Gvura and Chochmah. How does that happen? Here you're talking about a supreme, a godly presence to be interpreted on the worldly level. The answer is that within that godly presence, within that spirit, there are 10 spheres. There is Chesed and Gvura inherent in that spirit, which is not yet identified or identifiable, but it is inherent there. This is why it is eventually possible for this spirit to be imbued and translated in keilim, and they become functional on a worldly level. And it fits very well. Doesn't feel completely out of place. Doesn't feel intruded upon. There is another phase to this, another nudge, which we'll discuss another time. In other words, where is this sphirot come in? This is what we said all along, way back when. Sphirot, the inherent sphirot is due to the rotzen. The rotzen creates sphirot agnosis. Because inherent in the rotzen is that you can't be given. This is we are left for further discussion. I think our time is due, right?